They're watching you. Oh, I know they are. Quiet, burning. Their eyes twitch when you enter the room. Their smiles stretch too thin. Their laughter cracks at the edges. Because deep down, they know something you haven't even said out loud. You don't play their little games. You don't bow. You don't clap when they demand applause. You walk through their circus, and somehow you already own the show. That silence of yours. It's not weakness, it's venom. And it drips slow, slow, slow until they choke on it without you ever lifting a hand. Do you feel it? That fire boiling in their silence. They act like they don't care, but you can hear it in the way they shuffle, the way they stutter, the way their fake kindness falls flat. That's not love. That's fear dressed in a cheap disguise. You don't need their validation, you don't need their crown, and that terrifies them. Because power, real power, doesn't beg, it doesn't kneel, it doesn't explain itself. Power just exists, and your existence alone ruins them. Funny, isn't it? They set the stage, they build the rules, they whisper behind curtains. But somehow you win without even auditioning. That's what cuts deepest, the fact that you never even tried. And still their veins boil. They can't stand it. They can't breathe knowing you are untouchable. You robbed them without touching a single coin. You stripped them without lifting a single blade. That's not chance. That's design. That's you becoming their obsession, their downfall. And tell me, doesn't it feel delicious to watch them stumble over shadows, shadows you cast without effort, to see them begging for a fight you'll never give? Their hatred grows like weeds in a garden they thought was theirs. But you don't water it. You just watch it suffocate itself. That's the punchline, isn't it? The joke they'll never get. You've already won. And the scariest part is, you don't even care about winning. Now answer me, have you noticed it too? Have you seen them unravel because of your silence? Their masks cracking, their voices breaking, their fake power dripping through their fingers like sand. Comment below, tell me, because I know you've seen it. I know you've felt it. And tonight, we drag it into the light. They want you to react. That's their game. That's the trick. They poke, they prod, they whisper, they wait for you to explode so they can clap and call it victory. But you sit there, calm, unshaken. That silence of yours. It's not silence at all. It's thunder locked inside a cage. And every second you refuse to move, the bars rattle louder in their heads. They can't stand it. They want your rage, your tears, your weakness. But you give them nothing. Nothing. And nothing is the heaviest weight you can throw. Look at them. Watch how their hands twitch, how their eyes dart. When you don't answer, that's fear. That's loss. Because silence isn't absence, it's control. It makes them question every word they said, every move they made, every little scheme they thought was clever. Your stillness eats them alive. It's a mirror they can't break, reflecting back everything they hate about themselves. They're not seething at you, they're seething at the fact that you didn't even bother. That's the fun of it, isn't it? You've turned their obsession into chains. They thought they were the hunters stalking you in the dark, but now they're caught in their own trap. Every step they take sinks them deeper into the pit they dug. And you just stand there smiling, watching, waiting, because sometimes the sharpest blade isn't drawn, it's imagined. And right now they're cutting themselves open on the edges of your silence. And the more they scream inside their heads, the quieter you get. The quieter you get, the more they break. That's the paradox. That's the chaos. You've created a battlefield where you never had to fight, and still you're the last one standing. That's not luck. That's mastery. That's power so raw, so untouchable. It terrifies them more than any war cry ever could. Tell me, do you feel it too? That delicious control, that twisted calm when your silence drives them to madness. Drop it in the comment. I want to hear the moment you realized your quiet was the loudest thing in the room. They built the stage, they wrote the script, they rehearsed your downfall like it was a play, but you tore up their tickets without saying a word. That's the madness they can't name. That's the wound they can't heal. You didn't even step on their battlefield. Yet somehow they're lying in the dirt, gasping for air. Your absence became their defeat. Your refusal became their nightmare. And now every time they see you, they remember how small their plans really were. It's a strange kind of violence, isn't it? Violence without fist, destruction without noise. You didn't throw a punch, but you shattered their rhythm. You didn't spit venom, but you poisoned their confidence. That's the art of control, the art of chaos, the art of winning without ever playing. And they'll never understand how you did it, because they're too busy choking on their own rage. This is where power stops being a performance and becomes a presence. You don't talk about it, you don't wave it around, you just stand there breathing and the room bends around. People who doubted you start whispering, people who underestimated you start shifting, and the ones who tried to play you, they crumble under the weight of their own schemes. That's not arrogance, that's inevitability. And you know the sweetest part, you never asked for any of them. You never begged for their respect, their fear, their surrender. You simply existed outside their rules, and existing outside their rules is the one thing they can't forgive. That's why they see, that's why they whisper, that's why they fall apart every time you walk in. You are the walking proof that their game is meaningless. Tell me, have you tasted that moment, that quiet electric sieve when you realize you don't have to fight to win, when you see them unravel, their masks sliding off, their power melting in their hands, because that's the moment your real life begins. Chaos isn't loud. Chaos doesn't beg for attention. Chaos whispers. It creeps in slow. It bends reality without anyone noticing, until it's too late. And that's where power hides, in the quiet before the scream, in the stillness before the storm. You've learned this, that silence is not surrender. It's strategy. Every moment you don't react, you're weaving chaos into their world. They can't fight it. They can't name it. They just feel it. They want clarity. They want rules. They want a reason they can put a name to. But you give them nothing. You leave the edges blurry. You erase the lines, and their minds start to rot inside that uncertainty. That's the beauty of chaos. It makes them doubt their own senses, their own judgments, their own strength. They start questioning everything they believed about power, because you refuse to play by their definition. They call it madness. You call it freedom. Because chaos is not destruction. Chaos is creation. It's the art of breaking their world apart so something stronger can rise. And the stronger you get, the louder they whisper, the quieter you remain, because they can't handle the truth. They can't handle that your silence is not weakness, but the loudest rebellion. And here's the trick they'll never learn. Chaos isn't random. It's calculated. It's controlled. It's a weapon forged in stillness and sharpened in patience. You don't shout your power. You make them hear it in the absence of your voice. They can't ignore it. They can't destroy it. And they can never own it. So tell me, do you want to be chaos? Do you want to stand so still that the world breaks around you? Comment below, because this is the point where silence stops being peace and becomes war. They're trying to name you. They whisper your name like it's a curse. But the truth? You are no name. You are a storm without warning. You are a silence that shatters worlds. They look for cracks, for weakness, for a sound that will break you. But you give them nothing, nothing but presence, nothing but a calm so cold it feels like a blade against their skin. That is your weapon. That is your throne. They want chaos with noise. They want rebellion. They can understand. They want battles. They can measure. But you are neither. You are a quiet war. A war fought in glances, in absence, in knowing smiles. You do not break their walls with hammers. You dissolve them with patience. You unthread their reality without a single blow. And they can't stop watching. They can't stop wondering. They can't stop hating what they can't control. Every word you never say becomes a weight they can't carry. Every silence you hold becomes a wound they can't heal. And that is the most dangerous thing of all, because they begin to doubt themselves. They begin to unravel. You do not need to strike. You only need to exist, to remain unshaken. And in that stillness, you become their obsession, their downfall. Do you hear it? That silence inside you, that quiet that grows with every second you resist their provocation. That is your rebellion. That is your power. That is the darkness they can't name. And the moment they realize it, they collapse under the weight of their own minds. Tell me, do you crave that power? That quiet madness that turns their world into your battlefield? Comment below, because this is where control becomes chaos, and chaos becomes you. They think they know you. They think they understand the silence. But silence isn't absence. It's a mirror that reflects what they fear most. And what they fear is themselves. They look at you and see a version of themselves they can't touch, a version they can't break. And that terrifies them more than any scream ever could. You didn't teach them fear. You became fear. And that is the most dangerous thing in the world. This isn't chaos without purpose. This is war without a sound. You've weaponized stillness. You've turned absence into an empire. Every moment you refuse to react. Every time you walk away, you build your power. And every step they take toward you only tightens your hold on their minds. They are prisoners of a war they don't know they're fighting. And you are the battle they cannot win. The awakening isn't loud. It doesn't come with a call to arms. It comes in a shift, a knowing that you are no longer playing by their rules. That the game they built was never yours to play. That victory doesn't need applause. Victory is stillness. Victory is walking away while they drown in noise. And in that moment, they stop seeing you as a person and start seeing you as a force. And here's the truth they will never speak. Silence is louder than war. Stillness is stronger than chaos. And when you hold both, you become unstoppable. You become the shadow in their mind, the thought that will not fade, the truth they can't undo. That is your crown. That is your legacy. That is your power. So tell me, will you take that crown? Will you walk away knowing they'll never forgive you for it? Comment below, because this is the moment you stop being their player and start being the game. They call it madness. They call it chaos. But you know the truth. It's clarity. Pure, unshakable clarity wrapped in a storm. They want certainty. They want answers. They want rules they can follow. But you gave up their maps. You burned their guides. You erased their paths. And now they wander in the dark, chasing shadows you let them see. That is your art. That is your power. That is your rebellion. Rebellion isn't noise. It isn't firebrands or loud protest. Rebellion is the quiet refusal to conform. It's the stillness that unravels empires. It's the smile that hides a blade. You have become the rebellion they can't name. You've turned silence into a manifesto. And the moment they realize it, they crumble. They try to mimic you, to copy your silence. But it's not theirs to take. It was never theirs to take. This is not about fighting them. This is about becoming something they can't fight. You don't break systems by breaking yourself. You break them by breaking their belief in control. Every moment you stand unmoved, every time you walk away, you rewrite the rules. And that is how you conquer. Not with armies, not with noise, but with stillness, with chaos, with a smile they can't understand. And the beauty of rebellion is this: it's invisible. It doesn't need banners or speeches. It doesn't need applause. It lives in the unseen cracks you leave behind, in the way they question themselves, in the way they bite their tongues when your name is mentioned. That silence becomes your manifesto. That quiet becomes your weapon. That absence becomes your throne. So tell me, do you understand now? Do you see what you've become? Comment below, because this is where silence stops being peace and becomes revolution. The moment comes quietly. No trumpet, no warning, just a shift in the air. A weight you can't explain. You look in the mirror and see something different, something sharper, something darker. That is transformation. It isn't given. It isn't earned through noise. It's forged in silence, in stillness, in the chaos you've chosen to carry inside. And once you carry it, you are no longer the same. You are the storm they feared. They will try to pull you back. They will whisper your old name. They will remind you of the rules they wrote for you. But you have burned those rules. You stepped outside their boundaries, and there is no return. Transformation isn't a path you follow. It's a place you become. A place where silence is louder than shouts, and where chaos is your language. That is where your power lives. That is where they will never reach you. And the beauty of this moment, they'll never understand. They'll call it madness. They'll say you've lost your way. But the truth is, they lost theirs the moment they stopped watching you and started chasing shadows of themselves. And now you walk away while they scream for answers they will never find. That is the victory. That is the awakening. That is your crown. You are not asking permission. You are not begging for understanding. You are not explaining yourself. You simply are. And that is enough to break them. Enough to make them see the in silence. Enough to make them wonder if they were ever in the game at all. Because the truth is, you've already won. Without playing their game. Without answering their call. Without turning to face them. So ask yourself, have you stepped into that silence? Have you embraced that chaos? Comment below. Because this is where the end of who you were becomes the birth of who you are meant to be. They are watching you again. Quietly. Desperately. Like predators sensing prey that slip through their claws. But you are not prey. You are the hunt. The question they can't answer is how you became untouchable without fighting. How you dismantled their world without a single war cry. That's the real war. Not the one they imagined, but the one you fought inside your own mind. And you won long before they even noticed the battle had begun. They are fractured now, not by steel or fire, but by something sharper, the idea that they never controlled the game. That the victory they craved was never theirs to take. You taught them without teaching. You won without showing your hand. And the terror in their eyes is proof enough. You have entered a place they cannot follow. A place where silence and chaos merge into power. A place where they are powerless. You are no longer part of their world. You are something else. Something untouchable. Something they cannot name. And that is the deepest wound of all. Because their obsession is no longer about you. It is about understanding you. And they never will. That is the crown of silence. That is the throne of chaos. That is what they fear. That you've become what they cannot contain. And you know why they seethe. It's because they were given the rules of their own game. But you never played. You rewrote it. You walked away. You left them in the dark while you stood in the light they could never reach. And that is the ultimate victory. Not destruction. Not war. But control. Quiet, absolute control. So tell me, do you feel it now? That shift in power. That silent collapse of their certainty. Comment below. Because this is where the war ends, and the dark begins.